Welcome back to The Princess Left Behind. I'm Sita Brand, guiding you through the untold story of Yashodhara. When we left her, dawn had broken on an unthinkable reality. Prince Siddhartha had vanished into the night, leaving behind his wife and baby son, while the palace erupted in chaos. Yashodhara stood at the window, clutching Rahula, asking a question that would shape her destiny. You have left to find your truth, but who will help me find mine? The days that followed unfolded like a fever dream. King Yashodhara dispatched search parties in every direction, but they returned empty-handed. In those first raw days, Yashodhara moved through the palace like a ghost, nursing her son, receiving visitors with royal composure, but inside she was breaking apart and reforming into something else entirely. One afternoon she overheard two serving women whispering about her, pitying the abandoned princess, suggesting perhaps that she had failed him somehow, that if she'd been more beautiful, more pleasing. Yashodhara's hand tightened around her embroidery. She would not be the pitiable princess, the subject of palace gossip. If Siddhartha had chosen the path of renunciation, perhaps there was a wisdom in it that she too could claim. That evening, when her handmaiden brought jewels for dinner with the king, Yashodhara made a startling decision. I will not be wearing jewels anymore, she said. My husband has abandoned luxury to seek understanding. Until he returns, I too will live simply. When she appeared at dinner in a simple white sari, her hair unbound, no jewels adorning her, King Yashodhara's face darkened with concern. What is it? You are a princess, the mother of the future king. You will dress and behave accordingly. With respect, father, you cannot command my heart any more than you could command your son's. I remain devoted to my duties, but I will do it on my own terms. And so began Yashodhara's own journey, a parallel path to Siddhartha's, but one walked within palace walls. She slept on a hard wooden floor rather than her soft bed. She ate once a day simple food. She meditated through the night watches, seeking the same insights that had called to her husband. The palace watched her transformation with awe and concern. Some whispered that grief had unhinged her mind. Others suggested she was performing for attention. But a few, particularly among the women, viewed her with growing admiration. Here was a woman claiming spiritual authority in a world where such pursuits were reserved for men. Months passed. Yashodhara's body grew thin, but her eyes burned with an intensity that unsettled visitors. The rumors proliferated, that she had developed strange powers, that she spoke with spirits. Few understood the truth. Yashodhara was conducting her own investigation into suffering, attachment, and liberation. One night, her lady-in-waiting, Chandrika, approached hesitantly as Yashodhara sat in meditation beside sleeping Rahula. Princess, you barely eat. You sleep so little. The little prince needs his mother strong, said Chandrika. Do I seem weak to you, Chandrika? Chandrika stared at her mistress, seeing her anew, not a woman broken by abandonment, but one reforged by it. When Siddhartha left, everyone assumed I would collapse. But what if his leaving was not just his journey, but the beginning of mine? I'm learning to love without possessing, to love Rahula not as my son, but as being with his own path. 3 years passed. Rahula grew into a bright, inquisitive child. The palace had adjusted to the princess who lived like an ascetic. Yashodhara had created a life that honored both her responsibilities and her spiritual seeking. She had discovered a profound inner freedom that no external circumstances could disturb. Then one warm spring morning, as she taught Rahula to string flower gardens in the garden, a breathless messenger arrived with stunning news. Siddhartha was alive. He has become a teacher, a Buddha, an awakened one, and he's coming to Kapilavastu. The garland slipped from Yashodhara's fingers, scattering jasmine blossoms across the garth. The garland slipped from Yashodhara's fingers, scattering jasmine blossoms across the grass. Tell me everything. The messenger explained that Siddhartha had found a middle way, neither luxury nor severe asceticism. The messenger explained that Siddhartha had found a middle way, neither luxury nor severe asceticism. He taught a path to an end suffering, and had disciples now, a community of monks. King Yashodhara had invited him home. The news spread through the palace like wildfire. The king ordered grand preparations. The city buzzed with anticipation. But Yashodhara received the news with complicated emotions. 7 years of spiritual practice had taught her about letting go. Yet the prospect of seeing him again stirred dormant feelings she thought long resolved. Will father stay with us now, mother? Will he sleep in the big bed with you? Yashodhara's breath caught. How to explain that a man returning was not the father who had left? Your father has become a teacher now. He lives differently than we do, but he will want to meet you very much. As the day approached, the palace prepared frantically. Yashodhara alone made no preparations. When asked what she would wear to greet her husband, her answer startled the court. I will not join the procession. When he left, he did not say goodbye. If he wishes to see me now, he must come to me. This is disrespectful, said King Yashodhara. If he is truly enlightened, father, he will understand my choice. The king could not sway her. On the day of the Buddha's arrival, as the entire court processed out to meet him, Yashodhara remained in her chambers. She dressed in her simple white sari, the same attire she had worn since his departure. If he was to see her again, he would see her as she truly was. Through the open window, she heard the distant sounds of the welcoming procession, trumpets, drums, chanting. Her heartbeat quickened despite her years of practiced calm. Rahula watched her with curious eyes. Mother, why are you shaking? But it wasn't cold that made her terrible. It was the collision of past and present, the meeting of who had been and who she had become. The sounds grew louder, entering the palace gates, footsteps in the corridor, then a gentle knock at the chamber door. Enter? The door swung open, and there he stood, so familiar, yet utterly transformed. Simple saffron cloth, shaved head, body lean from years of discipline, but his eyes were the same eyes that had looked at her with love, with confusion on their final night together. For a long moment, neither spoke. 7 years stretched between them like an unbridgeable chasm. Yet something passed between their gazes. Recognition, not just of who they had been to each other, but who they had both become. Siddhartha, And in that moment, as their eyes locked across 7 years of separate journeys, Yashodhara felt her carefully constructed composure crumble. The room seemed to spin. She reached out to steady herself, but only found air. As darkness clouded her vision, she heard Rahula's frightened cry, and then she was falling, collapsing before the man who had once been her husband, now returned as the awakened one. What happens when two souls who once shared everything meet again as strangers? What words can bridge 7 years of separate seeking? Join me next time for the return of the Buddha, as Yashodhara confronts the man who left her and the teacher he has become.